Welcome to Hannah's Heart.
So Hannah, she's just one of the women who did struggle with infertility in the Bible.
No matter who we are, we can be inspired by the fact that Hannah took her pain to God, and God heard her and was with her.
So when she was praying at the temple, she had been weeping and not eating, and her lips were moving, but her eyes were closed, and the priest was like, "Hey, why are you drunk at the temple?"
It can become an obsession when you want a child so deeply.
And desiring that baby and to be a mama. Every holiday, every Mother's Day.
This is not a show that's going to promise you a certain outcome, but this is a show that says, however God answers your cry, we know that He's enough.
Hey, I'm Ann.
And I'm Kendra, and you're listening to Hannah's Heart on American Family Radio. Hey, Ann started the show, and I am honored to get to be her co-host on Hannah's Heart. It was birthed in her heart. Both of us have been through the issues that we've talked about on this show, and it's infertility and miscarriage. And Ann went on to have child loss of her sweet little baby, John Micah. And man, we talk a lot about some really heavy things on this show.
Yeah.
I feel like we always start off sounding very happy because it's just, I'm happy to be in the studio with you.
Sure, same.
And also from years of doing this show, we just have so many encouraging stories that we've seen God's faithfulness again and again,
Right.
whatever it is you're going through. But hey, if you're new to the Hannah's Heart family, we'd love to connect with you. You can email us at hannahsheart@afa.net. Whatever of the issues we talk about you're walking through, we just want to encourage you and let you know that you're not alone and God is enough.
That's right. That's right. That kind of leads into our guest that we have today because we both know her. We're friends with her, and she works here at AFA. She's a great writer for The Stand. That's, if you don't know about The Stand, that's the magazine that AFA produces each month, and so you should check it out. But Hannah has actually been on the program before. She came on, I think, to talk about sex trafficking, that type of thing.
And she came on one time to talk about the angel gowns. She donated part of her wedding dress to have gowns made for mamas who have lost their babies.
Yeah, that was a very special episode. And really, honestly, after needing something small for John Micah to wear to be buried in, I thought a lot about Hannah during that time. He didn't get a wedding gown. Anyway, long story short, we found something for him to wear, but it did make me thankful that there was that option to do that with wedding dresses after needing to find something so tiny for him. Anyway, all that to say, this is now her third time.
She's a pro on Hannah's Heart.
Onto Hannah's Heart. And we're so glad to have you, Hannah.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you. I mean, it's not the happiest topic today, but I am so glad that you guys asked me to chat with y'all today. Y'all know I love y'all, and I'm so thankful for y'all's ministry.
Well, thank you.
We love you, and we love getting to walk through life with you. You know, the last two times you were on, you were talking about topics that you were very passionate about between sex trafficking and then the angel gowns. But at the initial time that we started, you hadn't struggled with infertility or child loss, and I'm sorry that your story has changed. It's one of these clubs that, like, you don't want anybody to be a member of.
Right.
But if it happens to you, we want you to know you're not alone. So I think that's what we're going to jump into today and talk about.
Because a lot has changed since you've been on last. And I think at the last time that you were on, it was kind of like, well, okay, we're kind of trying to have a baby, but, like, I wouldn't necessarily say. Do you remember that?
Yes. I think that you guys kind of stopped me, and you were like, I don't know how the topic came up about babies. I guess we're just always talking about babies at AFA.
That's right.
And we had started kind of talking about, like, our timeline. Me and my husband's name is Dalton, if I use that name, just so you know who I'm talking about. We had decided that we were ready to have babies, and then our story just kind of took a turn, and it took a little bit longer than we had hoped for. And at the time, we didn't know if we would ever get to be parents. I was diagnosed with PCOS a few years ago, and that was just a constant struggle. I'm sure some of y'all's listeners
Mhm.
have that. And you know that everything just kind of is wonky with it.
Mm-hmm.
And your hormones are kind of crazy and nothing is like, normal. And so sometimes you think, oh, the month will go by and you think, oh, maybe I'm pregnant this time. But
Mm.
no, it's just
Ugh.
your hormones are out of whack. And so that kept happening to us for a while. And yeah,
It's
that's
emotionally
when I
draining to
started.
have those false fixed hopes.
Very, yes,
Man,
exhausting.
before your journey even really gets started, you're already
Right.
emotionally exhausted.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
And yeah, what was your next step? What?
So my next step, okay, so I didn't like, I don't know if I need to just keep talking or,
You just
and
keep going, girl.
okay, y'all stop me if I need to stop. So I actually started a little like Bible study at my
Mm.
house. This is kind of like off topic, but I promise it comes back to my story. And I gathered some girls that I grew up with and new friends, and we were just praying for each other. And we started praying and specifically praying for our journey of having a baby, me and my husband. And one of my friends who came, she also had PCOS, and she
Mm.
said, I struggled with PCOS, the miscarriages, unable to get pregnant, and I did a sugar fast.
Mm.
Mm.
And I was like, that's interesting. And she's like, and sure enough, I got pregnant, and a doctor had recommended her to do a sugar fast, and she did a sugar fast. She ended up pregnant, and I was like, that's kind of crazy, because I'm like a sugar girly. Like, I want all the cakes, all the soda, like all the
Same.
ice cream. Give it to me. Like, that's a big deal for me. And my husband would attest to that. And so we were still in that process of, people were praying for us, and we were still in that process of like trying to have a baby. And it was about February, and I kind of just randomly remembered that this girl had told me about the sugar fast, and she had also recommended a book that she had read about the sugar fast. And I thought it was about Lent. It was about the time of Lent,
Mm.
and I thought, you know what? If I trust that Jesus died and rose again on the
Mhm.
third day for me, like I can give up sugar. Like
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. And at that time, it was like, yes, it would be really awesome. I started it thinking, yeah, it'll be really awesome if I get pregnant, but at the same time, like it'll be a great refresher in my faith.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so I started on it, and the first few weeks were, I'm not going to lie, miserable because I wanted all of
Detox.
the sweet things.
Yeah.
The detox was rough. And I started, but I kept getting deeper and deeper in my faith. And about halfway through, we decided that because of where we were in our journey, I actually started taking fertility meds.
Mm.
And I talked to, I think, Anne about that too, with the
Mhm.
time we were going through it. And I thought at that point, okay, well, we've done everything we can do. But at the same time, I was my mind had changed for a little bit during that. And it was kind of like a very prideful turn of, you know what, like, I've done this for the Lord. He's going to give me a baby.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
that's awful to admit, but that's the truth. And that's
Mm.
where I was. And so with a fertility meds, you have to go in at a certain point to have some blood work done to see how, if it
Mhm.
worked or if they've got to change the medicine and everything. And so at that point, I was still kind of prideful, and I went in knowing like this is going to work. Well, the doctor called me the next day after I'd done the blood work after I'd taken the medicine, and he's like, it didn't work. Like,
Mm.
Mm.
sorry, we'll try again next month. He had actually called in the next prescription in for the following month with a different dosage, and I'd gone and picked it up, and I just remember like sitting at home that night just in tears, like with my husband, just crying. And like I had become prideful, I knew that, but I was like, I just really thought, like I really thought that this was it. And um come to find out, after all that crying and sobbing and all that, I just had to make a decision. Like, okay, because I could have quit. To be honest with you, right that moment, I was still doing the sugar fast. So I was like, I'm going to go get me the biggest bowl of ice cream, and I'm going to eat my sorrows away.
Mm.
But I couldn't. I wouldn't let me. I wasn't done with the time that I had set, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And And instead, like, I want to cling to you, Lord. Like, I know you have a plan for me. I know you have a plan for me and my husband, but God, I don't get it. I don't, we're not bad people. We're not like, why aren't we able to have this baby?
Mm.
And so in that, I refocused my gaze and clung to Jesus because, as you guys know, like, that's really all you can do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
no words really help. It is, Jesus is sufficient, and He is what gets you through those moments. And anyway, so I had determined the next month we were going to try all over, well, about 2 more weeks go by. And to my surprise, I found out I was pregnant with my baby, first
What?
baby. And I was like, wait. I was like, what, Lord? Like, because they told me that it wasn't going to happen, like if the plan
Wow.
worked and then if it didn't work, that,
Hannah, I meant
so in this,
I forgot that part of your story
Yeah.
that you were told like, this isn't gonna work.
they were like, no, you're not pregnant. And I'll tell you the truth. I had a meeting with Kendra
Yes.
actually at work
I
the day
remember.
before I
I
found out, and
remember
I
this.
completely forgot the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very like organized person, and I realized halfway through their meeting that I'd forgotten their meeting, so I ran upstairs, and that's what made me think that I should just test for funsies, I guess. And lo and
That's
behold, it was positive.
wow. That is nuts. So that was right after, or you were still doing the sugar fast, which
Mm-hmm.
we've all
Yes.
heard. If you're
Mm-hmm.
in the infertility world, PCOS, and PCOS is polycystic ovarian
Mm-hmm.
syndrome.
Yes.
For those of you who might not know, but sugar affects
Mm.
PCOS because
Wow.
it makes you
Mm-hmm.
insulin resistant.
Mm.
And
Yes.
a lot of times, if you don't work with your body and try to do better, it can cause you to develop type 2
Yeah.
diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, cause you to have weight gain and hair places that girls don't love to have hair.
Yeah.
Like
And the
on
Holy
the
Spirit knew all this and
yeah.
prepared Hannah
Yes.
to know to do that. I
And
love it.
so yeah, the fact that you gave up that
Yeah.
sugar, which I know is a physical
Mm-hmm.
thing, but you also mentioned how spiritual it was for you as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that the
So
Lord
beautiful.
used that time. And then to hear that the doctor said, nope, it didn't work.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
just, that's too much fun.
Hey, if you guys are just now
Yep. And
listening, we have Hannah Meador tune in to her amazing story. She is sharing about her journey with infertility, and even more.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about baby boy.
Mm-hmm.
okay, so baby boy's name is Harrison, but we call him Harry, so that if I refer to him, I'm probably going to say Harry. But I ended up having my pregnancy was great until about 3 months out. I ended up being diagnosed with hypertension, gestational
Mm.
hypertension, and I was on
Like,
bed rest for the last 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
But we got him here. I ended up having preeclampsia. Kind of a crazy story there, but anyway, he is now 7 months old, and he is chubby, and we love him so much. And he's starting to do all of the fun things like sitting up and trying to crawl. So I'm terrified of everything in my house.
Yeah,
But
just
you know,
get
Hannah and I,
ready.
background
Awesome,
story,
doing great.
we were pregnant like the exact same time. I think our due dates were like what, like 3 weeks apart or something,
I
like
think so.
really
Yeah.
close. So we were little preggy buddies. And that meeting that you were late to, like, I think I was pregnant at that time and had just found out.
You were.
And so,
Yes,
like,
you had just found out.
yeah, so we were both like preggy brain
Uh-huh,
completely, but we both had rough pregnancies. And so we were texting back and forth the whole way through, like, Lord help us get through this. I tell you what, you think getting the bun in the oven is the hard part, but sometimes that whole pregnancy can be difficult. And after
tricky.
you've prayed through all of that, you still have to keep praying one day at a time. The Lord
Yep.
sustained you.
That's so
And
true.
even on the other side, if you have to, and when the baby gets here, you're still doing the same thing.
That's
So it's
true.
a constant.
Never not trusting him. I love what you mentioned earlier. Thank you for sharing about just struggling with pride and trying to do it in your own strength,
Yeah.
because that's very relatable to me. And I think a lot of our listeners feel like, oh, God, you owe me this because I did A, B, and C. And it is so hard to really surrender this whole journey into his hands.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
Hannah, your story doesn't stop there. So do you mind just keep going and let us know
Yeah.
your latest news, I guess?
Yes, I can. So, and I think knowing that first part of my story helps with the second part, because, like I said, it took us a while. to get pregnant with baby boy Harry. And at about I was 3 months postpartum. I found out that I was pregnant again, and we were so excited. My husband was actually home when I found out, so it was like a big, we were all like shocked, but we were
Yeah.
excited
I was
because
gonna say most people that would say that they're
Yeah.
pregnant 3 months
Yeah.
out. I mean, it's a shocking thing. You're like,
You
what in the
believe in
world?
life, but you're always like, I might not have
Uh,
been ready quite yet for this
yeah,
journey to start again.
yes, like
yeah,
in my brain, like when I saw the second line, and
Yeah.
I run it to him. I was like, because it was saying at first, and I was like, do you see this? And
Yeah.
he was like, I think so.
Wow.
So it was kind of just a very shocking moment. And at that time, we were thinking, oh my goodness, like, then I kind of calculated it all. And the due date was set to be a week after Harry's birthday, a week after
Wow.
Harry's first birthday. And Harry was born 4 weeks early. So there's a very real possibility that we could have had two under one, which is kind of crazy to think
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And so we were just over the moon excited. And we instantly started thinking about names, and we picked the name Ezra.
Mm.
And um, so we were excited. We were planning how to tell our family and all of that. We had decided on doing an Easter announcement because last year we announced on Easter to our family about Harry. And so it's like, well, we're just going to do the whole thing again. But unfortunately, um, about a week went on past when we found out we were pregnant, and that line started getting fainter and fainter
Mm.
on the pregnancy test, and eventually we miscarried.
Mm.
And that also was, of course, a very big shock and something that I've never gone through. I've heard many stories of people who have, but until it's you, like, you really don't know what to do.
Mm.
And you still really don't know what to do. Y'all know
Yeah.
when it happens. And so very shattered,
Good word for
very
it.
still in grief. Days will go by where, we think, oh, like I would be this far along, or we would be almost halfway, or whatever. And you just kind of shake yourself out of it, and you're like, but that's not true. Like you're not.
Mm-hmm.
The baby's not coming on November 12th. Like,
Mm.
and it's just a constant, every day. It's just an everyday thing you got to face. For me right now. But yeah, that's kind of our most recent unfortunate update.
So, Anne, I don't believe this. Anne doesn't believe this, but some people that haven't gone through it think, well, it was so early.
I was gonna ask about that.
You're,
Yeah.
how are you hurting so much if it was so early?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to anybody else?
I would say they're trying to be kind because they don't know what to say is what I've decided that they mean, but don't listen to it. Because I've heard that many times. It was so early. If it had gone on longer, then it would be so much worse. And I'm like, but I knew, like, it was still my baby. It still is my baby. I have a
Right.
baby in heaven. That's how I look at it. And I think that if you have that, and I have a little story too. I can save it for later. I can tell it now whenever y'all want me to. But I think because of those words there at the beginning when it was so early, I thought, well, maybe like your hormones are crazy, and you just think, well, maybe it wasn't real. Like like maybe it was all a
Yes.
dream.
Yeah.
Like like it's a disbelief
Mm.
of, oh, I've just lost a baby, like and I'll tell y'all this. I told Ann about it, and I've shared it with Kendra too, I believe. But because of those feelings, and I may cry, but because of those feelings, I started praying specifically. I was like, Lord, I want to know it was real. Like, I want to know. I know it is, but I wanted like a physical,
Mhm.
Mm.
something physical, like,
Mhm.
because at that point you don't get doctor's appointments,
Right.
you don't have ultrasounds, like the baby was just gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I started praying very hard for that. And to be honest, I started praying because we named the baby Ezra. I wanted the first, this is kind of random, but I wanted the first Sunday that we went back to church, which was right after it had happened, but the sermon to be on Ezra. Like, I wanted to
Wow.
hear that name. Like, I wanted to hear this is his name, and it's not a name I hear very often.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
you
not
didn't
like
know that it was a boy. You
like
just kind of felt
John.
like,
I did, yes. I just felt like it was a boy based
mm,
on I should have said that too, but yes, based on what
mm,
my previous symptoms were
gotcha.
with Harry. And so that's the name we chose. And so I wanted that. I just wanted that. And I went to church, and that was not what the sermon was about.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, well, whatever. Okay, whatever. So then, the next week goes on, and it's still in and out of the grief. And a few weeks actually went by. And when Harry was born, he's my first, I think I've said that, but a bunch of people gave us clothes. Like, they just gave us like hand-me-down clothes. And he is so big and chunky that he needed to go up a size. So one day I was back in his room, and I was going through these clothes and kind of matching the sizes. And I came across this little pair of pants. And I went to look at the size, and on the tag, Ezra
Mm.
was written
Mhm.
on it.
Mhm.
And I completely lost it because
Mm.
nobody of the people who had given us clothes, which I'm so grateful for, I am here for hand-me-downs,
Oh yeah.
but none of their children had the name Ezra.
Mm.
Mm.
I didn't know anybody with the name Ezra.
Wow.
And so lo and behold, here I am holding this teeny tiny little
Mhm.
pair of baby pants
Ugh.
with my baby's name on it.
Mm.
Wow.
And for me, it was that answered prayer of the Lord saying, "Yes, I've got your baby.
Mm.
Yes, you were pregnant. Yes, you have a baby with me. And so that was so just, I don't know, reassuring.
Mm.
Like I still don't have a baby. I still don't have my baby with me here in my belly or on earth, but I'm so grateful that
Mm.
the Lord gave me that little
Mm.
little
Yeah.
God wink, I guess.
Yeah.
I was just about to talk about God winks.
So
I was literally about to tell you that this phrase "God winks" has popped up on
Mhm.
Hannah's heart, and it keeps coming again and again from. And it's for those of you that are like, "What are you talking about?" A God wink is just a moment when it's like God is letting you know He sees you
Yeah.
and He's with you. He does something
mhm.
personal to break through in your life to let you
Yeah.
know that He loves you.
Yeah. I think
Mhm.
that's so neat. Something that could seem so minor, like, okay, you're going through hand-me-downs, but
Mhm.
for the Lord to bless you and
Mhm.
to your prayer to be answered. Obviously, you would rather your baby still be here,
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
but for your prayer to be answered and to be able to see the Lord's goodness in that and the reassurance
Mhm.
of, no, Hannah, you really did lose that baby,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because it can feel so confusing.
Mhm.
Kendra, I'm sure
Mhm.
you can
Yeah.
attest to that
Yeah.
with how early your miscarriages were.
For
And
sure.
then same with me. I never did. I had some symptoms, but I lost them so early.
Mhm.
I would be miscarrying so
Mhm.
early that it was like, oh, I didn't even realize that was a pregnancy symptom. I
Mhm.
just knew I was tired, something like that.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, by the time that you
Mhm.
realized you were pregnant, it was,
It's all over. And some
yes.
people do think,
Mhm.
oh, that makes the grief easier. And grief is difficult no matter what stage you face it.
Right.
But there is a
Right.
certain aspect of, I had this mountaintop experience of
Mm-hmm.
excitement that immediately came crashing down that makes you feel sick to have
Yeah.
to process those two big emotions right back to
Yeah.
back.
Well, and you do immediately
Yeah.
start planning. You can't
Yeah.
even
You
help
can't
it.
not.
You're like, how are we going to tell people?
Absolutely.
What is the name going to be? Oh my goodness, when's the birthday going to be? You can't help
Mhm.
it, but that is
Mhm.
immediately what you start doing. And I think that's a sweet thing between mama and baby,
Mhm.
Not that the
Mhm.
daddies, and we did want to talk about Dalton, which we only have a few minutes now. But I'll stop what I was going to say there. And we did want to talk about Dalton and his emotions with all this. Do you care to tell us about him for just a
Yeah.
second?
Yes. So my husband, I kind of talked to him last night when Ann asked me about his kind of point of view, and it kind of his was different than mine. And I think that as a mom with a baby, you two are gonna understand that too. But with Dalton, he at first I just broke down into tears. And like he just kind of held me. He was
Mm-hmm.
like, and I was like, so what were your feelings? And he was like, I felt helpless. I was
Mm.
confused and I felt helpless. He was like, because kind of like what y'all just said about the mountaintop and then it comes crashing down. He was like, I was processing the excitement and then it was just
Mm.
over. And he was like, and then to watch you continuously, I cried all day Sunday, to be honest with you, and he held me.
Mm.
So, but
Mm-hmm.
it was hard for him too, but he is there with me and I'm so grateful for that.
Wow, Hannah. Well, goodness, that time passed by so, so
So
fast.
fast. And it's not the end of
Yes.
Hannah's story. I have a
No.
feeling we'll have you on for a continued
Update.
update on your life. Hey, if you guys are listening, ask God to give you a God wink this
Yeah.
week because we all need those moments. Just ask Him and watch Him come through
Yeah,
because He's a good God.
because he will. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening into Hannah's Heart and for showing up each week. We will see you back next week.